Hello everyone. We are live on YouTube and LinkedIn, bringing you yet another exciting episode of the Top Innovator Series. This is where we dive into proven leadership ideas, game-changing strategies, and the brilliant minds behind them. My name is Josef Martens. I'm excited to be your host today, and I'm thrilled to introduce today's guest to you. Today with us is Craig Shrader. Craig was the CISO with HSBC Bank in Canada. He's also an adjunct professor teaching cybersecurity. And before these roles, he's held several other tech executive roles with a focus on cybersecurity in a variety of industries. Craig, it's an absolute pleasure having you with us today.
Thank you, Joseph.
So I would love to dive into your leadership journey and hear some of the lessons learned, some of the experiences you've had. And I would like to start with taking a reflection on your leadership journey. When you think back of all the accomplishments, all the highlights, the successes that you've had, and there are a lot obviously, what do you think are the key reasons for your success? What do you think are the main ingredients that make you successful?
I think the success is based on collaboration with people. I think that no one person can do it by themselves, and so there's a skill of collaborating. It's listening, it's thinking, it's exchanging ideas, and coming up with a solution that works for all. I think that's really the key juice.
A solution that works for all. Give me some examples. Make that real for me. What does that mean? How do you know that this is a solution that works for everyone?
I had an experience, and this is outside of cybersecurity, but I had an experience in technology management where the company was not. The availability of corporate resources was very intermittent, and it had been going on for 4 years. I was brought into the company, and I started looking into the situation. The first thing I did was I listened. I listened to the people that were in the company and had been in the company for a period of time, and they came up with which in the end was the right solution, but they didn't have a way to get that solution, put that solution forward. And with me being there, I had a voice that I could do that. I listened to them. It ended up that it was a problem with a vendor product. We talked with the vendor extensively, which had been going on for a while, but I got involved, and some testing was done collaboratively between the company and the vendor acknowledged that they had a problem. The solution was that the vendor gave us new cards for internal networking between the VMs and the storage devices, and that made all the difference in the world. It was a lot of money for them, but it was good because our solution came back in a robust way.
Okay, got it. Yeah, that's a clear list.
Yeah, there's other kinds of things that we've done in cybersecurity, and I think the hallmark is the same. You have to listen, you have to think, you have to probe, and then you have to decide.
Talk to me about some aha moments that you had on your leadership journey. When you think back, what were some moments where you thought, I didn't expect that, or this is something in my leadership that I hadn't thought would work, or I thought it would work and it didn't. But what were some aha moments where you were surprised about how leadership plays out?
I think that in leadership, those moments, they do come at odd times. You're not really looking for it, and I guess that's the reason it's an aha moment. In my case, I think that I've had surprises when. Gee, I'm trying to think quickly of what my aha moment is. I've had some surprises in results that were They were not forecasted because there were some external factors that broke our way and
Hmm.
made the solution and the moment, very real. There was some work that was being done with other executives, and they had come around to adopting the same sort of mandate that I was trying to create. And I think that having executives or senior mandates is a very important element to having these moments
Mm.
because it aligns all of the thinking into a stream which is focused on one thing, and that's the solution, the outcome, and it generally makes it happen when you have that kind of mandate.
Got it. Okay. Yep. Talk to me about the some advice that you received on your leadership journey. I'm sure you had mentors, trusted advisors, or other advisors around you who gave you some good advice. What was something that really stuck with you? Something, again, maybe something that seemed a little bit counterintuitive when it was shared with you and then turned out to be some really good advice.
Well, I think I had a stretch of my career as a technology program director running very, very large projects, multi-$100 million projects. And the advice that I got was through a lecture that I attended, and the advice was mandate. Every project needs to have some sort of an executive mandate so that people know how to align their their actions,
Hmm.
their thinking, and their activities towards an overall goal. And without that mandate, a lot of projects fizzle. They don't get traction. There are people that are on the team that are undercutting or not being a productive member of the team from an objective perspective, and that mandate really helps. And that has happened several times in my work. And when I try to solicit that from people because it is a element that is so successful. Not You don't get it all the time. There's other
Right.
things that are going on, and they have other pulls to their time. So, but that is really important, and I think
Yep.
that is some advice that I got long ago.
Yeah, and I like the fact that you shared you don't get it all the time, right? Sometimes it's difficult to get that kind of buy-in. And I would imagine it requires a little bit of selling of the technological idea to the potential sponsor, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely.
Mm.
The stakeholders have to have an idea that of what the direction is that you want to go
Mm.
and what you want to try to accomplish, and the fact that you know how to do it. And
Mm.
that needs to be plainly illustrated at all stages of the initiative. And it can, whether you're implementing an ERP system or whether you're addressing a security breach, the same exact process goes through because you have to have a discovery process where that's when you get the mandate. And then you have to have an execution process where they are trusting in you to
Mm.
deliver what you say you're going to deliver. And then you have to deliver it uh, with outstanding results. And if you can do it even better than expected, all the best.
Yeah, yeah. And especially in the space of security, that's not always an easy thing, right? Because what you're always looking for is the absence of the breach. And how do you convince people? How do you get that executive buy-in? Tell me a bit more about how you would go about that. How do you win someone over, especially for something that is more preventive in nature?
Well, I think there's two elements to that. Um, when a security breach occurs, if you don't have the trust by the senior executives or the board of directors in what you're trying to accomplish and how you're going to be doing it, um, then it's too late. You
Right.
can't get the trust,
Okay.
online, so to speak. But if you have the trust ahead of time, you never know you don't know what's happening. You don't know what type of issue you're facing, and you have to be very introspective in discovery of where this could go. And that presents the second issue. You know, trust is the first issue. The second issue is competency and transparency. That if you are delivering a message as you go along, and that message is clear and succinct, and you have the luck of being on with your finger on the pulse, then
Mm.
you can get you can get the thing resolved and remediated, and you can go on. I think it's a very difficult thing because it's a lot of moving parts during the process. But I had a situation in my career one time when a customer reported to us that they had a problem, and they were naturally assuming it was our problem as their vendor. We jumped into the facts and found proof that one of his people, the customer's engineers, changed a switch that created the problem. So
Okay.
I then had to, and this was with a state government. So this was the CIO for the state government, and I had to tell the guy it wasn't us, it was you. And that was a very difficult
Yeah.
sentence to have. And without I had already amassed quite a bit of succinct proof that demonstrated that it was not a vendor problem, it was not a software bug, it was a change made by a particular person, and I could tell exactly who made the change. And the whole discussion, while being very, very stressful initially, turned out to be this guy trusted me. He bought more products from us and more solutions from us, and we became friends. And so that's the kind of thing that really is the proof of the pudding.
Yeah. I was really curious now where the story is going, Craig, if this lands in a disaster. And it sounds like it didn't, and that's awesome.
No, it
Because
didn't.
that's, yeah. And it's not, I imagine, not just that one conversation that took place in discovery of what the problem was, but many months or years of
Yes,
building the
there were.
relationship. Mm.
It took quite a few hours, and
Mm.
every 2 hours I would give this guy an update, and I would be honest and transparent with the fella, and he appreciated that.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we talked about the past of your leadership journey. I'd like to take a quick look at today now. And this is not a question about positions, companies, or projects. It really is about the leadership journey you're on. What is something you're working on right now? What is an area where you think I can grow here, I can level up here, I can become better here, I can do something different in that area? What
I'm
might
so
that be?
glad you asked this question. It's a very good one. I think it's a question that all senior managers must face, because time time does not stop, and there's eventually a career ends. So I'm not anywhere close to ending my career, but I have been thinking about this issue of what I'm likely to do when I grow up. And and so that's the way I phrased it with myself. And I really have not much interest when the retirement time comes. I don't have interest in stopping to work, and like many people do. I want to continue, and I've looked at many different things, and I've decided the way to, one, leverage all of the time that I've put into the industry, two, keep me busy, three, keep me challenged, I've decided, and a lot of other people make the same sort of an approach, is to go into independent directorship in cybersecurity. Now, in the news, in the Wall Street Journal, and in all sorts of LinkedIn papers, as well as there have been some papers on cyber risk in LinkedIn lately. Everybody acknowledges that cybersecurity is the number one risk that keeps most senior people up at night. And how do they handle that? How do they handle that through the management, and how do they handle it at the board level? And I want to bring the educational, the professorial type of an approach that I have, and I want to marry that up with the technical duties and governance, because I've had a lot of work in governance, and become an independent board member. And I'm very comfortable with that. It's a challenge because it's difficult to find those seats, but I am working at it.
Okay. Do you mind sharing a bit more about how you go about that? Because I think you might not be the only one with that aspiration. And I'm thinking of people who are watching this wondering, is this something for me in the future, but may not really know how to go about that?
What I have done is I have had work experience in a very broad area of cybersecurity. I have had broad management in cybersecurity. And I've had, part of that experience has been in corporate governance and in ways to present information to the board of directors through the management team, the executive management team. And I did some research. I decided that I would go with a certification from the Digital Directors Network, which is an interesting group of about 1,700 professionals, and get a certification called Qualified Technical Expert. Now, this certification, it mirrors what the SEC, I'm sorry, that's not true. It mirrors what Sarbanes-Oxley did 22 years ago, where they decreed that every board has to have a qualified financial expert, an expert that can read and interpret financial reports. And so the people at DDN decided to call their experience the qualified technical expert, which can be a degree, a certification that CIOs as well as CISOs can work towards and be awarded. It's a pretty tough, there's a lot of concentrated work that needs to be done. And I found the exam to be a fair but difficult exam. You really have to know the information. And so you pass that, and then there is no requirement in a legislative way for companies to add a QTE in cybersecurity, but it's one of those things that most companies need and should be working towards. It's interesting that when certain companies, big breaches that have occurred that we all have heard about, the company after the breach looked at their governance structure and decided that they weren't organized properly, and they've added a whole bunch of cybersecurity experts to their board, creating a new committee for technology and cybersecurity. And so that's what I want to do, and I would encourage others to do it. It is the adage, however, from my instructor is, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. And it is it's a very personal type of referral network out there to get you your seat on a corporate board. And I have not succeeded yet, but I'm still working at it.
Yeah, but that's a great message, right? Because it means start early. Start the fact that other people know you. That takes a moment, and starting that is.
Yes, it's absolutely true.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, after I ask about what people are working on at the moment in their leadership journey, I also ask what the future looks like. And I think you've given us a good idea of what you see your future as a leader looks like. But I would still like you to color it out with some crayons. What is the future
certainly.
of... Mhm.
The independent director future is difficult, and it takes a little bit of time. And so unless you are a senior manager that has retired and has ample resources for staying power, in my case, I am still working. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to be working on a management team for the period of time until I can get my board seats lined up. And that's I still have a few months to go on that one.
Got it. Okay. Let me ask you one last question, and then we'll wrap it up, Craig. What is something, again, leadership as a general topic, what is something that you have learned as a leader, something that is clear to you, and at the same time you notice there are many leaders out there who have not learned that lesson? They've missed it somehow. They are not seeing something, and it's clear to you. What might that be?
You have to pay attention to the details. The details will come around and bite you. And whether that's sending email to a group of people that shouldn't be reading what the email is saying, you're mistakenly addressing it incorrectly. That has happened to me. It is looking at the details of revenue or risk and making some assumptions about that and not having the correct assumptions. I tell my teams, you always must be right. And in the process of trying to be right, you have to be very thorough in your investigation of what the opportunities and constraints are of whatever situation you're working in. And if people do make mistakes, and certainly I have made plenty, but if you try to do things right, try to think things through, try to talk to as many people, and don't leave any stones unturned, the chances are you're going to be more right than wrong. And that's the lesson that I've learned.
Yeah. Craig, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you with us today. Certainly that last thing, be more often right than wrong. I love it, right? All we have to do is be slightly better than our coin cost, and that's worth that's worth a lot already, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate your time, and I thank all the time, or for all the time of the people that are on the webcast. I appreciate their time too.
Yes, and thank you to everyone who's out there watching us. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and watch us again when we come back with our next episode of the Top Innovator Series. Until then, keep your brain cells active.